Hey guys, it's Hardy here doing 9.0 Destruction Warlock Guide. I'm going to be pumping out quite a few of these pre-patch guides, mostly just to get a groundwork and a foundation for what I'm going to be doing in this channel come Shadowlands. So I thought it'd be good just to, get something out there. Um, in Shadowlands, I have any plans like regarding doing guides such as these, um, doing sort of boss guides and going over kill videos and POVs and going through the mindset of what's happening there, just to try to help raiders that are clearing new content, and want to try out different classes or classes that they might not be super comfortable with. So, anyways, in regards to this pre-patch guide, let's just get right into it. We'll be covering pretty much everything that is important in regards to PvE. We'll be starting with talents, and then we'll head into like stuff like azerite and essences and stats and trinkets, and then finish off with rotation and all that. And then, as always, if you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments below. And if you guys just subscribe and like and all that, would be awesome, because I do actually want to, build something cool with this channel in Shadowlands. So it's all very much appreciated. So anyway, let's get right into this and start with the talents. I'll be going over single target first, and I'll also cover some Mythic Plus stuff. For Destro, there's really not that much different in general from where we just were in 8.3 to where we are now on 9.0 with the class changes and all that. The biggest thing is obviously that Grimoire Supremacy is gone, and in the place of that is Reign of Chaos, which is basically like how it's like a sort of Vision to Perfection type thing. Pretty much shards you spend in your Infernal window have a chance to summon more Infernals, which is can end up being a lot of damage if you get a lot of procs. So where we were before, we kind of had a build that looked like this, like it was like Eradication, Internal Combustion, and then it would have been Grimoire Supremacy obviously instead of Reign of Chaos, and then we ran like this kind of thing, since we had so much haste because of Expedient and Corruption. But since Corruption is now gone, we're going back to Flashover and Reverse Entropy just because we need that haste that we were missing from all the Corruption. So we have the extra Backdraft Charge, which gives us faster Incinerates or Chaos Bolts. And then we also have the 15% haste proc, which is pretty consistent in a fight, and just nice overall to have. And taking these two talents also allows us to stat less haste, which means that we can stat more crit, mash, reverse, and everything else. So these two talents are a definite must in both single target, well, not even just single target, but raid and Mythic Plus. Pretty much every situation you'll be taking these two talents right now. This 30 row and this 40 row are all utility. So it's basically whatever you want or whatever the situation calls for. Most of the time, I'll probably end up taking Bring Rush, which is just movement speed. And then most of the time, I find myself taking Mortal Coil because it's a nice little heal if you need it. And the Fear can come in handy and stuff like Mythic Plus. But not to say that you won't ever take anything else. Hallowed Terror, Demon's Skin, Dark Back, they all will come in handy at some point, I'm sure. The 35 row, single target, you're always going to take Cataclysm, because Inferno and Fire and Brimstone are basically useless on single target. And then on anything past single target, pretty much, you will be taking usually Inferno. It's just more rate of fire damage and also has a chance to generate a Soul Shard, which also obviously has really good synergy with Reign of Chaos too. The more shards you get, the more chances you have at getting Infernal spawns. So right now for just about every raid fight, we're taking Cataclysm, and then for Mythic Plus, you take Inferno. So Inferno or Cataclysm, depending on what type of content you're doing PvE wise. But a good rule of thumb is if I'm going to raid Cataclysm, if I'm going to do Mythic Plus, I'll take Inferno. Under the 45 row, we're not taking anything else besides Reign of Chaos right now. Again, it was the replacement for Grimoire Supremacy, and it's basically the bread and butter of what makes this spec right now fun and, in my opinion, like good. They did change Roaring Blaze, so it's not casted ability anymore. It just has a totally different interaction, and like a fire build is possible in Shadowlands, even though they keep nerfing it, but as of right now, you're never going to take this or Grimoire Sacrifice. You'll just take Reign of Chaos, so really easy there. And then in the 50 row, similar to the 35 row, this will change depending on what content you're doing. Every single fight in the raid, pretty much you'll take Dark Soul. which is just a lot of increased crit for 20 seconds. It's really good for burst. It's nice for your Inferno window. And then for Mythic Plus, you'll pretty much always take Soul Conduit. The only exception I can see for Soul Conduit and Dark Soul and Mythic Plus is that you might take Dark Soul if you know that if you know the tank you're playing with and you know he's going to be doing big pulls around your cooldowns. Dark Soul could be better in some cases, but generally, I mean, if you look at what most high keys are being ran with, it's Soul Conduit. It's such good synergy with Reign of Chaos, and especially when we take it with Vision of Perfection, which we're going to talk about in a second after we talk about azerite. So the nice thing is that if you played Destro in 8.3 before pre-patch, it's the same exact azerite we were running before. If you did not play and you're just not picking up Warlock, you're just not coming back to the game. I'm not going to explain what azerite is, but it's basically this gear that has traits. It's sort of like just extra little mini talents that you get with your gear. And we are currently taking triple flashover, and flashover just gives you haste when your immolate deals damage to targets that are above 80% health, which is obviously still really nice because, as I was talking about before, with flashover and reverse entropy, more passive haste allows us to stat into things that are not haste, because since they did the sort of stats, I don't want to say stat squish, it was kind of a stat squish, and it was also just like a more diminishing returns. Once you get past 30% haste or even, crit, those stats become a lot less impactful. So it's good to stay under that if possible on a base level. So we're taking 3 flashover for that passive haste. We're taking double rolling havoc, which is, if you don't already know, it's when you use havoc, and whenever you use a spell, while that havoc window is up, you get a stack of intellect, and intellect, that's really good for us, especially right now, because intellect is by far and away our best stat, and I'll talk about that in a second when we do talk about stat. But if you just want to see how it works, basically you havoc, I don't know why I keep doing that, and then you just cast spells, and you're going to see I'm getting stacks up here. So I casted 4 spells, you have 4 stacks, because that havoc window, so now the havoc window's over. If I cast another spell, I don't get another stack, and that will end in 10 seconds. So it's just a lot of intellect. It's really nice, sort of bonus intellect that we get, and it's really good. And then for the 6th and final azerite trait, you're gonna take Crashing Chaos, which the main reason why you take is because it reduces our Infernal's cooldown by 15 seconds baseline, which is really nice. It ends up pairing really well. It makes it as close as we can get it to a 2-minute cooldown, which obviously pairs really well with Dark Soul. And if you do run Memory Major, it pairs really well with that. And then it also gives you some extra chaos bolt damage on top, which is never a bad thing. So 1 Crushing Chaos, triple flash over or flash point, and then 2 Rolling Havoc. Those are azerite traits. Again, if you played before, the pre-patch is the same exact azerite traits, so it's really simple. In regards to essences, for Destro, we're pretty much only playing Vision for both Raid and Mythic Plus, for both single target and AoE. The reason for this is because of the synergy between Vision and Reign of Chaos. So obviously, Reign of Chaos, when you put your Infernal down, you have that whole window where all the shards you spend give you a chance to get more Infernals. Well, let's say that you use your Infernal on the opener and you get a few procs, and then the 30 seconds is up, and you don't have any more Infernals and don't have any more chances to spend shards. You can get a Vision, which, if you don't know what Vision is, it just spawns at random chance to spawn an Infernal based on any cast you have. So basically, if you get an Inferno proc off of Vision, you get 10 seconds of more possible random cast procs. So it's just really good synergy there. Since our haste is a lot lower than before, Memory Major really isn't as viable. We can't really dump soul shards fast enough, and plus it's just not really necessary. The synergy between Vision and Reign of Chaos is too great. And then for miners right now, Crucible Flame Miner is like way too overtuned after the pre-patch. So pretty much every single DPS class is taking this as a miner right now. It just does way too much damage. It's really it's just passive free damage. Really no reason not to take it. Conflict and Strife, but for basically everything, with Mythic Plus and Raid, just Verse, and again, like I said, stats like Verse and Crit are becoming a lot more prevalent now that they're Now that haste is a lot less prevalent, so just a lot of passive verse, really nice. And then you can go either Memory Miner or Breath of the Dying Miner here. If you're doing Mythic Plus, you pretty much always go Memory Miner. Or if it's like a super AoE fight, like if you're doing Hive Mind or Vexiona or something, you'll probably go Memory Miner. But if you're doing single target, or if it's like there's not a lot of cleave, you'll go Breath of the Dying. So pretty much just swap those two out. But if you just want to keep it simple, this setup right here, where it's Vision, Conflict, Crucible, and Memory, is totally fine for every single situation in PvE, and you'll be totally fine with this setup. So that's essences. Real quick, just to touch on stats. As I said for like the 5th time this video, our haste is a lot lower. We were sitting at like 70 something haste before with the corruption. So now that that's gone, and now also with the implemented diminishing returns on stats, you don't want to go above 30% haste. You really don't even want to go above like 26 or 27% haste, because then you're going to start getting too much from your passive talents like flash over and reverse entropy. You're also getting too much from flashpoint. So it's good to just stay. I think a good range is anywhere from like 20 to 23% haste. I think as long as you're in that range, you won't have an issue. Also, I have the Mechagon ring, so that's even more haste. And then in regards to crits, you want to be anywhere from 25 to 30% crit. Again, just like haste, you don't want to really pass that 30% mark. It's not worth it. If you're going to go above 30%, it's better just to put it into something else like verse. But mastery, you want to be anywhere from 55 to 60%. That's a good window. And then for verse, you want to be anywhere from 5 to 10% verse. Going past 10% verse right now isn't really super worth it, because that means you're not going to have enough crit, haste, or mastery. So 5 to 10 is fine. And as always, you can sim stuff like that. Stat weights are a little bit volatile right now with the pre-patch simming, but always just you can either look up players that like you can look up good Warlocks and see what stats they're running, or you can just sim yourself. Those are always two viable options. Real quick, just touch on trinkets. We're no longer running font, which is nice. I hate font. We're running Manifesto of Madness, which drops off in the Zoth in the raid. And then the Highborn Compendium of Storms, which you can buy off the auction house. I think on my server right now it's like 2,000 gold. So it's super cheap, and it's one of the best trinkets right now for all casters. Even some like melee that aren't even intellect are using it because it's so good. If you don't feel like spending 2k gold, or if it's like super expensive on your server for some reason, Vita is still a very viable option in place of it. However, it's definitely not as good because it has main stat haste, which we don't want anymore, and the compendium has main stat intellect, which we really do want. Also, you're just getting a lot more constant haste from the compendium than you are Vita. So Vita is a fine option if you don't want to buy the compendium, but if you have the gold for compendium, it's cheap, just buy it, and it's a lot better, and it's a lot more consistent than a Vita. That pretty much touches on everything in regards to setting up your character. Real quick, we'll just talk about the rotation and more so like the spell priority. It's super simple. If it wasn't already simple before, I think it's gotten a lot more simple because we don't have so much haste anymore, so you don't feel like you're spamming your buttons and you're like a machine gun. You're more so you have some time to actually think about what you're gonna press. On single target and AoE, it's pretty much the same rotation. The only difference is that actually it's not the same. That was wrong. Single target, you're basically going to use all your shards on cast bolts, and then if there's 2 or more targets and your havoc is on cooldown, you rain of fire. So I don't know if that makes sense, but pretty much if we're on single target, so if we're hitting this guy only, you're only hitting chaos bolts, and then you're filling with insurance, obviously, and you want to keep your conflag constantly recharging, and then cataclysm on cooldown. Maintain your immolate, obviously. So single target, yeah, you're just funneling chaos bolts, and then if you don't have enough shards for a chaos bolt, you incinerate, and then you want to try to line up your conflags so that you get both of your oh, my weaker isn't working. Both of your backdraft charges for your chaos bolt. And then yeah, so then that's single target, and then if you're on 2 target, let's pretend, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to want to keep havoc, which I'm assuming you know what havoc is. It's basically just duplicate your spells to a different target for less damage. So if we're on 2 targets, you want to use your havoc, and then obviously Chaos Bolts, Ensnareness Filler, Flag, Chaos Bolt, and all that good stuff. And then if your Havoc is on cooldown and you're still on 2 targets, then, and if the 2 targets are together, then you Rain of Fire. Same goes for 3 targets, or anything more than 2 targets, you want to do that. And I think once you get to 3 or 4 targets, you don't want to Havoc anymore, and you just want to Rain of Fire, because with the buff to Rain of Fire in the pre-patch, it's more worth it just to cast Rain of Fire. That was actually a good timing for a Vision proc. I can explain this. We just got 2 Vision procs, so I haven't used my Infernal yet. And if I use Shards, I didn't get any there, but every shard you spend has a 15% chance. So if I use Rain of Fire, that's 3 shards. So that's a 45% chance, like we just got an Infernal spawn. So it's a little 10-second Infernal that's going to do a little bit of damage. We'll just cast a Chaos Ball, see if we can get another one. We did not. So that's... Vision just acts as a mini Infernal, and you get more procs, so the synergy there is huge. If you want to talk about Opener real quick, let's do a real quick Opener. You basically don't need a pre-pot anymore, but you can... I still pre-pot because it's like a 2-second difference. You pre-pot into Incinerate, into a Cataclysm while the Incinerate's in the air. That'll land at the same time. You then Infernal, and then you just start... And I'm assuming this is a single target. You start dumping Chaos Bolts, and we're already getting procs. You want to have an Infernal tracker so that you know once your Infernal's seeing around 20 seconds, you want a Dark Soul. And then you just dump. Make sure you maintain it on lane on your target. Should have cast a Manifesto. Use your Trinket as early as possible. Probably wouldn't use Dark Soul. And then yeah, that's it. It's really simple. And then when outside of Infernal windows, you're just the same rotation, just incinerating until you get shards. And then once you have shards, you want to make sure you can flag before you cast your Chaos Bolt. It'll cast faster. We just got a proc. We got another proc because we ran a Chaos. We got another proc because we ran a Chaos. Right now we have 3 Infernals. And if you can see right now, my top damage, yeah, is an Immolation Infernal. That's basically the passive AoE that Infernals do. So our 3 target, or plus, like if they're stacked, it's crazy right now because you're just getting procs, and the AoE that they're just doing passively is insane. Plus you're getting a ton of shard generation, which means more procs, and it's just a mess. So that's pretty much it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask below or contact me in game. Destru's really fun right now. It's kind of underperforming compared to Affliction on a lot of fights, but that's just because Affliction's really, really good. It's not that Destro's bad. And it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't tried it, make sure you try it out. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. I'm going to try and do a lot of these more in Shadowlands to come. And I'm excited for what it's going to look like. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you later.